Hello, my name is Gareth Owen. I am the Programme Manager for the Wales Higher Education Libraries Forum, which is the network that represents university libraries in Wales, together with the National Library of Wales and the NHS libraries, and three other organisations, including the National Museum for Wales, the Open University in Wales, and Natural Resources Wales, which is the government agency responsible for the environment. In the presentation today, I hope to give you a little bit more background about WHELF, about Wales, and specifically about the project undertaken by WHELF to procure and implement a single library management system across key institutions in Wales, and the particular focus of this work on delivering benefits for the institutions. I will also look in particular at one example where collaboration amongst these institutions has been enabled by a shared library management system platform, and my details are available at the end should anyone have any further questions or comments post-presentation. For those of you who are not familiar with Wales, Wales is a constituent member of the United Kingdom and has a certain level of devolved administration, and that extends to education. It has two official languages, being Welsh and English. English is spoken by everyone. Welsh is spoken fluently by around 20% of the population, so that's about 500,000 people. And those are the two languages that are required to be used by organisations when they're dealing with customers, with the public. As I said at the top, WHELF represents a good number of institutions, 13 in total, 14 if you include the NHS in Wales, which comes under the support of Cardiff University. WHELF isn't a legal entity, but it is a loose network which was sees its origins in the 1980s and was formalised in 1993 as the network of the chief librarians of the universities in Wales, together with the National Library, and as a means of exchanging information, of encouraging collaboration between these institutions and sharing good practice. The chief librarians still meet quarterly, and they provide the strategic direction for all the work that happens between these key institutions. For the library management system, this is a key strand of the activity of WHELF, and to oversee the work of the library management project, a project board was established in 2013, and that has done much of the spade work around procurement and implementation and business as usual for the library management system project. Both the steering group and the project board has representation from each of the members of the LMS project, and below the project board there is a series of subgroups, either functional ones like cataloguing or borrowing, or thematic ones like enhancements and benefits, which do much of the kind of detailed work that keeps the project on track. So although the WHELF is a network of 13 or 14 institutions, a smaller number have joined the library management strand, but these are the 9 universities in Wales, the National Library and the NHS libraries. And the combined records for all these institutions, round about 12 million bib records in total. In 2014, when the contract for Alma and Primo was signed by WHELF with Ex Libris, these institutions were operating 6 different library management systems and a variety of proprietary and open code discovery layers. On conclusion of the implementation of Alma and Primo, all these key institutions in Wales are now operating one library management system, Alma, and one discovery layer, Primo. That is the key set of outputs for the project. But the project has always been more about just delivering outputs, about delivering a piece of IT kit across the institutions. There has been a key focus all along on delivering benefits. In 2012, a JISC-funded feasibility study not only answered the question, should WHELF as a network pursue a single library management system across the key institutions, but it also asked the question, why? What would be the benefits that would accrue from such an approach? And the feasibility study suggested that there were a good number of hard cash benefits, including an anticipated supplier discount through buying as a consortium, but also a number of softer operational benefits that would come from sharing expertise and training and resources across these key institutions. And on the basis of this validation of the feasibility study, the institutions in WHELF decided to pursue a EU tender for a single library management system and discovery layer. And the EU tender was issued in 2014 in January, and at the tail end of the same year, in December, the contract was awarded to Ex Libris. Throughout the process of our EU tender, interestingly, each institution that was part of the consortium had the opportunity to step out of the tender process if they're not content with how it was progressing. But each institution that started the process did end up signing up to both Alma and Primo. And the implementation for Alma and Primo across WHELF started in January 2015 and was implemented in a phased approach across 3 cohorts, with the first institution to go live being Swansea University and the final one being Cardiff University in August 2016. The phased approach had real benefits in enabling WHELF institutions to share their experiences of implementation and to support each other through the process. And it also fitted in with the particular business drivers for institutions. For example, Cardiff University, Swansea University, were also engaged in a major new campus build, and they wanted the campus build to launch at the same time as the new library management system, and that was part of the rationale for Swansea going first. The contract with Ex Libris is for an initial 7-year period, with the option to extend annually up to a maximum of 5 years. Just to reflect quickly on the on some of the lessons learned from that procurement process. First, as I said, safeguards can instill confidence. The key safeguard around the procurement process was that institutions at any stage could step out of the process, and that gave real confidence for people to kind of engage in it without fear that their hands would be tied and that they would be forced down a particular route. A central voice helps the process. This is feedback that has come from a lessons learned process held within WHELF, where it was established that an independent voice speaking for WHELF, rather than speaking for individual institutions, was useful in negotiating and in getting agreements across these diverse institutions. apart from being diverse institutions, these institutions are also geographically dispersed, which made it quite difficult at times to meet face-to-face. Although these face-to-face meetings were crucial in developing a kind of culture of trust and understanding between institutions, we relied heavily throughout the process on IT to do much of the work, using a variety of tools from Skype to Google Docs to SharePoint, and now quite reliant on Microsoft Yammer to engage various functional teams across WHELF. Policy alignment is important. At the early stages of the project, funding was obtained from Welsh Government to help the process, and the alignment here was with Welsh Government's strategy on libraries. Libraries inspire, and the key pillar of that strategy was that institutions in Wales were encouraged to collaborate and to share resources, and there was a clear alignment there between what we were doing in WHELF and what the Welsh Government wanted to achieve. There's value in external validation, and I talked about the JISC feasibility study providing that confidence for institutions to start the process, but it's something that we returned to when we looked at benefits as well. And one of the benefits that we achieved was a significant supplier discount, and it's become clear through the interest and the engagement we've had from a variety of suppliers that suppliers do value big customers. It's easier to talk with a consortium of 11 customers than individually with 11 separate ones. And collaboration works, and I think that will be demonstrated in some of the figures that I'll be able to share with you in the next slides. And success breeds confidence and ambition. So once you start on this track and you have a focus on benefits and you deliver benefits, that gives you the encouragement to do more. So as I've said, the focus throughout has been on benefits, about what benefits would accrue from working as a consortium rather than going down a path of individual procurement and implementation. And throughout the process, we've been focused not only on the products, the training, the LMS, the discovery layer, but also on the benefits, better user outcomes, cash savings. The feasibility study anticipated benefits, but we wanted to report to our senior managers within each institution on what benefits had actually been achieved. We were very keen that we shouldn't just present business cases with anticipated benefits, but we should also look at what benefits had been achieved and to do so in a very structured way. And we were also very keen that it shouldn't just be us reporting on what benefits we had achieved through the process, but that it should be an external body that should be engaged to do this. And we submitted a bid to JISC for funding for a third party to carry out a benefits study for us, and JISC awarded the study to Cambridge Econometrics, Cambridge University spin-off company, which has also done work for NASA and the European Space Agency. In terms of the methodology for Cambridge Econometrics study, they wanted to understand and identify the benefits of the WHELF LMS within a structured framework and identify how best to measure the benefits and impacts of the WHELF LMS. Now, the study is from a company that focuses on hard data around economics, and so in addition to this particular study, we also commissioned within WHELF 3 separate case studies from the National Library, Cardiff University and the University of Wales Trinity St Davies to look at the softer qualitative benefits that came from procuring and implementing as a consortium. In looking at the hard data, Cambridge Econometrics took an approach based around the counterfactual framework. So basically, they looked at the hard data around spend and costs from procuring and implementing a shared LMS as a consortium, and then they looked at what the counterfactual would have been. How would institutions have behaved had they not gone down the consortial route? Would they have continued with their old LMSs? Would they have varied the contract? Would they have procured independently? And looking at the figures from the counterfactual and the actual scenario of consortial working, Cambridge Econometrics provided hard data around what the benefits were from behaving and procuring as a consortium. And this was consolidated through a number of workshops, data collection, and the methodology and the data was scrutinized internally by JISC and WHELF, also by Ex Libris and by a group within SCONL. The report and the associated case studies are available at welf.ac.uk. So to turn to some of the benefits. As indicated in the feasibility study, WHELF had anticipated that there would be significant supplier discounts from procuring as a consortium. And the Cambridge Econometrics study indicated that these benefits had been achieved with lower supplier costs in 2015-16 of 76,000, and in the next financial year, when all cohorts had implemented Alma and Primo, an additional saving of £150,000. With these ongoing lower subscription costs anticipated to last for the duration of the contract life. In terms of procurement costs, as I noted at the start of the presentation, WHELF isn't a legal entity, and as such, it couldn't carry out the EU procurement as a legal body. The task of carrying out procurement was delegated to Cardiff University on behalf of WHELF, and as one institution carried out the procurement process rather than 11, this resulted in lower procurement costs estimated at £55,000 by Cambridge Econometrics. Acting as a consortium also provided for lower costs for bespoke developments. And a key example here is around translation of the front-end and back-end interfaces. As I said, Wales has two official languages, English and Welsh, and the institutions of WHELF were very keen that both the front-end and the back-end interfaces were available in both these languages. So not only would customers of the institutions have the ability to interrogate the catalogues in English or Welsh, but also the staff of these key institutions would also have the option to interrogate the system through Welsh or English. And the National Library carried out a translation once and on behalf of all institutions and shared that translation, and again producing a cost saving across WHELF. But not all the benefits are financial. The Cambridge Econometrics study indicated that there were a good number of non-financial benefits, which are articulated in more detail in the case studies. And these include kind of the pooling of expertise around producing requirements, sharing of knowledge and experience through the implementation and procurement process, and a higher specification system available to all institutions. And it was clear from feedback from some of the smaller, less well-resourced institutions that had they not taken part in a consortial procurement and been afforded the supplier discount, they probably would not have been able to afford the high-end solution that is now available to them. In terms of operational benefits, there are the benefits that come from having a cloud-based solution with better integration with IT systems, especially around authorization and authentication, and also the opportunities that are opened up from working as a consortium through being able to have one platform, and the ability then to look at sharing training and workflows and troubleshooting and lobbying suppliers with one voice and one IT platform. A quick recap on some of the lessons learned around benefits. I'm sure my colleagues in WHELF would report that there was a lot of work involved in providing data to Cambridge Econometrics for their final report. But I think they would acknowledge also that it was important work to do, that it squared the circle that had begun with the feasibility study in reporting back on actual benefits that had been achieved. But it's not a one-off process. Although the procurement and implementation is complete, WHELF is moving forward with making the most of operating across a single LMS platform, and is embedding a culture of collaboration across the consortium. And with that, our focus needs to remain on what are the benefits that accrue from working together. Having a formal process also helps invigorate the program. It keeps your kind of mind focused on what you're doing, but also on what you want to achieve in the future. And it provides that external validation that is so useful for any service, particularly services which are under financial pressure. One thing that we would do differently if we had the opportunity again is we would start the process earlier. We would start collecting data around kind of transactional costs, operational costs before the implementation started. So we had that hard data as a kind of a baseline, and we would have the kind of the framework in place on which to report. Whereas the way we did it, quite a bit of the work was kind of reflecting on what had already been achieved, and some of the data would have been lost in the process. A single LMS provides real opportunities for working together. Having a single LMS isn't an end in itself, although many of the benefits, financial benefits accrued, came from the procurement process. The procurement process was always seen as a means of delivering a product that would enable more collaboration. And WHELF is looking at a range of collaboration opportunities, from working together on enhancements, on lobbying suppliers, on harmonizing cataloging, on developing analytics, and also looking at interlending, how we maximize the resources within WHELF. And I'll just kind of pause briefly to say a little bit about that project before ending the presentation. The functional experts on interlending within WHELF recognized that although there was a great diversity in the collections across WHELF, there was also an opportunity there to share resources between institutions, and that this could bring cost benefits, especially when compared to the reliance on the British Library document supply service. An initial business case was presented to the steering group in WHELF, which looked at the kind of the historical data for a 3-month period, looking at all requests that had gone to the British Library from WHELF institutions for interlending loans. And this then kind of established the baseline cost for all those requests, but also provided an opportunity to look at which of those items borrowed from the British Library were held by other institutions in wealth and could have been part of an interlending scheme within wealth. And this business case established that between 20 and 25% of all requests that went to the British Library could have been satisfied from within wealth. And on the basis of that business case, and on the basis of an understanding that wealth partners would charge each other less than the cost that British Library charges wealth institutions, it was decided to trial an interlending scheme between wealth institutions for a 6-month period, starting in January 2015 and ending in mid-June 2018. Sorry, 2018 for both dates there. At the halfway point of this trial, I can report that over 1,000 items have been borrowed as part of the scheme, and we have estimated savings of £10,000. Now, this has been reliant on a single LMS. It has been reliant on fantastic work, especially from Bangor University, in setting up the ISO functionality to support interlending, on the engagement of functional experts from across wealth in agreeing a policy framework to underpin the interlending scheme and to agree a service level agreement, and then the operational load carried by staff across these institutions during the trial period. But I think, again, this is an example that shows that we're focused on benefits, we're focused on doing it properly, and we're focused on reporting what those benefits are. With that last example, I'll conclude the presentation, but only to say thank you, diolch yn fawr iawn, and my contact details are given here on the last slide, and I'd be very happy to pick up the conversation or to answer any questions either by email or by Skype. So please get in touch. Thank you very much.